Well, I'll record the video here,
Okay.
and then I'll upload that video.
Are you recording now?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'll go back to summarizing some of the things I heard. First of all, I would like to apologize to Mr. Fox. I am sorry if I sounded heated. I wasn't understanding what kind of analysis you were referring to, and my frustration was not meant in malice in any way. Just I was not understanding, and it has been a long planning process. So it's kind of, I think, kind of personal to
No worries. I
all of us
appreciate
here
that.
at this point. So I am sorry. Okay. So, and I wanted to do that. I was waiting for so that I could do that in public. So that'll be posted later. Anyway, so what I heard, that a couple of things that you'd like to have added to the plan or whatever. The word compact, when we talk about developing a compact community, you'd like that to be removed or maybe clarified as to
Just removed.
what it means.
I think just removed.
Removed, okay. So you'd like to have the word compact removed. You would like to add under the arts and culture section that it is a goal to encourage local art. And also under the schools section, that is a goal to have a city staff, board member or elected attend school planning meetings.
I know there's a planning committee
Uh-huh.
looking at buildings. Maybe we could get somebody just to
Yeah,
try to get on the committee.
yeah.
And I think specifically to address district needs related to growth, safety, those things. And this does go back a little bit to the impact fee comment that we had, that I think that we'll add in a goal and policy related to impact fees too. So.
Okay, so, removing the word compact community, just removing compact, encouraging local art and artists, and for school planning to have a city staff board member or elected official attend school and planning meetings to address district needs related to growth and safety, as well as adding a goal and policy related to developing impact fees for schools.
Okay.
Does that sound like what was discussed? Okay. So if you guys want to deliberate more, or somebody can make a motion, or?
Officially close the public hearing.
Sure.
And any questions or entertain a motion to include the changes?
I do have one question, and let's see if I can find it real quick. When they talk about, I think I just had it here. It says, Objective C on page 24, it says affordability. Ensure affordable housing is available for the local household and family, encouraging the creation of a wide range of housing, including that which is affordable to the community's average and lower income worker and family. And my question is like, a lot of people, their mortgages are less than people are paying for rent. So if you were to get, like, say they said, oh, well, let's do a variety of kind of housing, like let's put in an apartment complex. Well, over in Post Falls, I have a friend renting an apartment. She's paying double my mortgage. And I'm like, how is that? So when they talk about that, like what kind of housing would meet that criteria? Because unless you have a down payment on a house and a mortgage and you can get it lower, like rentals are up through the roof.
Can you point me to which one?
Oh, that was on Objective C on page 24.
Page
do rent control, or they try to do supplementing and things like that, that can cause problems unless people's incomes, employers start to say, hey, we're gonna give you our raise so that you can afford your housing, right? I really do feel markets will catch up and you should support the free markets. But, so my question is, how are they proposing to make that happen? Or what do they mean by different types of housing that will meet that need?
So typically what you have seen with that in the past is it's either through, as you're mentioning, the provision of multifamily housing, or it's through the provision of maybe, like Golden Spike communities or, townhome development, things like that. And it's a little bit of an interesting thing that we're going through right now, because those have always been the traditional ways of doing that. And so if you buy a townhome, you know that you're going to be paying a lot for that townhome because it's like purchasing a home. And now it will be escalated. Right now we are going through this thing with rent that we're really hoping will be a moment in time. I don't know what that market looks like. I don't know that anyone does in the future. So again, we're kind of being, a little more long range, and that the solution might be, those types of things. But these are the typical ways that you address that in a typical environment.
So in the past, it might have been you put more apartments or you put townhomes
Maybe,
or something like that. Is that how they would in the past? Because I think right now we are in a unique experience.
Right.
That is a little more unfounded for this area.
Yes.
That it's very, because of the influx of people moving in. And so, but in the past, the way they would address that, are you saying would be putting in more homes that or residences where you would rent them, like apartments or?
Yeah, well, and it
things
could
like
be
that?
rental, but it also could be, ownership. So,
Okay.
kind of, like the Golden Spike or the townhome, environment where you can actually own, what's underneath you.
Yeah.
The other would be, doing some condo plating. But, again, knowing that equates to density and it can be kind of controversial.
Yeah.
And so, again, you're doing this balancing out going forward of what is the best way to approach this. And this is where I think that cities are wise as they annex property to look at, kind of, okay, how are you addressing these various things, developer? But right now, multifamily is a tough one to provide for that. So again, we're long range. Does that equalize out? Does it start to become what it was before? Or do we have to come up with new tools?
And only time will tell.
Yeah, and there is, this regional, I think it's the Regional Housing Commission is what they were going by, that has been kind of led by Coeur d'Alene, but they're looking at different tools related to that, where all the planners in the area and their private, private businesses, whatnot, they're involved in it. But I think that, there's kind of like a regulatory response to that, which is what you see in here, which are the tools that the city has good control over. And then there are what are the tools that, maybe the business owner has control over, or, if you're an employer that's large enough, are you going to somehow, provide for, housing? And so I think more and more as a community, that we have to look at how does everybody step to the plate and figure this out.
Yeah.
I would love it if we could all step to the plate and say, we're just gonna, suppress, artificially suppress this in this localized area, but the world doesn't work that way. That is the free market economy, as you said.
And I think for
you know.
me, just sometimes when I read some of these things, it's nice to have a little clarification of what was meant and what that potentially translates into.
Yes, and I'm glad that you're asking that, because people can pick and choose, one or the other, and it can really, make you think that a community really wants to go a direction that in reality they may not. But conversely, if you're not having that discussion, development can come in and they can just use this policy and they can use it to their advantage in a way that maybe doesn't really balance the community's needs. And that's why you always have kind of this assembly of these. But it is very, very good for elected and appointed officials to be having these discussions, and especially at this time. So, yeah, I think it's, it's great, and it's one of those, it's a little bit of a head scratcher. You're at home at night and going, okay, well, what are the tools that we use now?
Yeah.
And so I know this group is working on that, and there may be things that come from that. But that could be another goal that we could put in the plan is to, kind of work with some of the outcome of what they come up with. It may not fit every community equally, but there may be some good things that come from that. So
I'm not sure how we would have to think about the,
it could be similar to working with the school, that just
Yeah.
kind of continuing to work with them and implementing ideas that fit for Ralph.
Yeah.
That might be a way to look at it. I think the other thing they're looking at too is, preservation of open space perhaps and some other things. And I'm talking a little bit out to you because I haven't been watching everything they're doing.
Yeah.
But I think that's what's going on.
yeah, I haven't, James has been attending those meetings and,
But
they kind of drifted from where they were originally. The original purpose was really to discuss some solutions to our housing crisis and not having affordable rents and the price to purchase housing and things like that. And it kind of morphed into something else that's really being driven by one of the Coeur d'Alene City Council members, and they have very differing needs than we do
Yeah.
here, obviously. So, yeah, we'll think about incorporating some language, yeah.
I know either the state or the county steps in for like the low income, and they assist with apartment buildings. So there are certain apartment buildings and they have a waiting list on that, and that's how the real low end.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I know there's one
Low-end housing.
down off Montana Street. So
Yes.
there's a few around town. And I
I've
believe
seen-
there's another one that's in
Section,
one.
section,
Yeah.
section.
yeah, there's
That's
also-
where your R3, R2, R1 come into play.
Yeah.
But I don't think legally you can cap a price on something, because then you become not a democratic
Well,
public society.
there are ways to do it, like I know in San Francisco they have rent control and things like, but that's
That's a whole
that's
controversial issue.
something whole different, yeah. I don't think that,
I won't speak to that.
I don't think that most people in Idaho. would
Yes,
support.
exactly. And that's why when I see that, I'm like, what do they mean by that? Like, are they saying rent control?
No.
Are they saying this? Are they saying that? Like, what are they meaning by that? And I think, like, as you had mentioned earlier, some of these are somewhat general, and then when you get into your actual city council meetings, you get into those other meetings, people will start to make decisions with actual cases
Yep.
and situations too, and
Yep.
that's where you kind of see how it translates
Yep.
into reality.
Yeah, this is just the guiding document, not the governing.
But again, I think sometimes when you do have those questions, it's good to address those concerns to go, okay, is there something we need to mention about that, or
Yeah.
something that needs to be clarified of what it means or what it doesn't mean?
Super valid questions. Good work.
And I don't think I have any more questions. I think I did cover them all.
All of that, any other deliberation,
So if,
motion, if we don't change it.
so what we're looking for is, you can, of course, there is another public hearing in front of the city council during which all these changes can be looked at and discussed by the public as well as the council. So it's not required to come back to you. You have that option. If you think that it's necessary to revise it, and come back in front of you for another public hearing and all of that, or you could make a recommendation, so you could vote to do that, or you could vote to make a recommendation for the council to adopt the plan with your recommended updates.
So we want to make a motion to recommend the city council.
Make a motion to recommend the city council adopt
our recommendations.
Okay, Nick, thank you.
So, I have a question. So, when you were recommending that the city council adopt this draft or the comprehensive plan
With the changes.
with the changes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And so you just need mine.
I second.
I second.
Roll call vote, or should we just do
Do
all
a,
in favor?
go ahead and do a roll call.
Okay, so then let's do Nina,
Yes.
Nick, John,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Passes unanimously to recommend to the city council to approve of the updated comprehensive plan with the changes recommended tonight by this commission.
Yes, thank you for all of your work on this. You guys have really, you've been sticking through it for 2 years.
Give me your shirt.
So,
Yeah, you were cute.
All right,